Okay, it says we're live. Hopefully we are. So welcome to the Energy Healing Lifestyle Journal Self-Care Challenge. My name is Robin Knott, and I am your host of the channel and the founder of the energyhealingschool.com. I'm going to walk you through my journaling process and share some real-life examples along the way. So if you don't already, grab your journal. I have mine, and journal with me. So again, we just get in the space to be open when we're ready to journal, right? We want to listen to whatever comes up in our mind, in our thought process. I like to write out the words self-care challenge. It is a challenge sometimes to take care of ourselves, right? And for us, don't forget, self-care is an acronym. So today we're focused on the letter L in self-care, and L stands for the word love. In my healing system of best you, it's the letter S for self-image. So we're really showing up for ourselves with love and compassion, right? Looking at our self-image. So whether it's positive or negative, quote unquote, whether we have a high self-image or whether we tend to beat ourselves up and dismiss our good qualities, however that falls into play, not avoiding it, denying it, and sticking it aside, holding space for it, but showing up with that love and compassion instead of adding more words that would beat ourselves down, right? Or overinflate ourselves. We don't really want to do that either. We like to have that healthy balance, that healthy level of self-love, not the egoic, heavy kind of energy. And of course, then the solar plexus chakra energy is what governs our self-image, and how we show up for ourselves can totally and directly affect the energy in our solar plexus chakra. So if we're not showing up for ourselves with love and compassion, in those moments when we show up for self, beating ourselves up, not feeling worthy enough, good enough, however, whatever words come up for you, then that gets the energy in the solar plexus chakra all kinds of wonky, right? And vice versa. If the energy in the solar plexus chakra is already wonky, then you might find that you're beating yourself up a little bit more. You're not feeling as good about yourself as you might normally, or that you could. So just keeping those things in mind as we journal on today's journal prompt, which I also write down in my journal. What is the personality of an overachiever? So I ask myself the question and I wait for myself to answer. Allow whatever comes to mind to come to mind. If it's off topic or seems way off in left field, so to speak, that's okay. It could just be us clearing the fog away, allowing it to surface. It could even be efforts to avoid what needs to come up. So ask yourself again and just patiently wait, right? Let the thoughts come and go. Listen to them, but don't attach to them. Don't add to them, right? That negative self-talk chatter. Try not to get on the hamster wheel right away. But write the things down. You want to know. We want to increase our self-awareness. That's part of our self-care, right? So you want to know what comes to mind. You want to know what's in there, what's in your head, what's in your heart, what's in your energy field. Let it come up. Also, when I think of personality of an overachiever, I think, well, I mean, overachiever, right? But then there's being the perfectionist, as we mentioned a little bit already this week too, like a workaholic, if you will. Obsessive also came to mind. So very focused on the self-image, whether we realize it or not. So the interesting thing about if you have these traits of being an overachiever, even though you're striving and you feel competitive and you feel driven, right, to succeed, to keep on working, to keep on doing, to be motivated, to keep on going, keep on doing, keep on working, keep on helping, keep on whatever it is, keep on succeeding or trying to succeed, we also have a low self-esteem. So in a sense, it's like trying to overcompensate for those feelings of unworthiness, right? Are you aware of that? Do you already make that connection? Because sometimes we don't, right? Sometimes we don't. What else? We also might avoid the process due to the fear of failure. And I think we touched on that a little bit yesterday as well, right? So kind of getting in that fear. So complete opposite of the spectrum of being motivated to go and do and do and do, retracting and getting in that fear and like freezing, not getting started, not moving, kind of overlooking the steps that we need to take because we're avoiding the steps, we're avoiding the process because we have the fear of failure. So it can go either way, both sides of the spectrum. In psychology today, I was checking out some articles too to just add more substance to our topic, our discussion today. Excuse me, an article in Psychology Today had a blurb and it talked a little bit about the perfection paradox, is what they called it. So I'm going to read it. I wrote it down. So this is a quote from this article. If I can read my handwriting. It says, quote, perfectionism is a key feature of compulsive overstriving. I think that's what my handwriting says, overstriving, and being driven to achieve, says psychologist Gordon Lett of York University. Painfully high self-standards may compel overachievers to obsessively pursue success. And I think that's massive. So I already mentioned the obsessiveness, right? And again, you may or may not be aware of that, but when you have a goal in mind and then you want to achieve it, you kind of obsess over it, right? If you consider yourself an overachiever, if you have those traits, it's like you just have to consistently and constantly work at that. And yes, I don't disagree to a degree. Yes, we set goals. Yes, we want to be intentional and work towards those. But when it gets to when we're obsessing over it, it can become a little too much, right? Nothing in our world matters but this. Like you're taking the work home with you, even if it's just in your mind. Maybe you didn't physically bring the paper home or the laptop home or whatever it is you work on it. But in your mind, you're still focused. In your mind, you're still obsessed. In your mind, you're still working on reaching that goal, right? Then that becomes too much because that leads to burnout, whether we realize it or not. Right away, it leads to burnout. And again, as we talked about yesterday, can increase those feelings of depression and anxiety, right? And unworthiness because we've set that bar so high, we've exceeded the realistic, quote unquote, realistic expectations that we push ourselves so hard and we beat ourselves up if we're not meeting those unrealistic, unfair expectations. Then it leads to that burnout, leads to feeling more unworthiness. It's kind of that cycle, whether we realize it right away or not, but it cycles, right? Also wanted to touch on some thought patterns that are also associated with our topic for today. So forgive me again as I'm checking my journal. Some of the common ones are like minimizing, right? So we minimize our success. We are actually successful and we are actually accomplishing goals and completing objectives to these goals. And we are being productive and we are doing well. Sometimes we feel guilty about taking a break and taking care of ourselves. Yeah, be honest. Is that you? Do you do that? Does that fall into this overachiever trait? Does some of that guilt come about because you haven't reached that goal yet, because you're not successful yet? You didn't do enough yet, right? Another might be magnifying, like magnifying our mistakes or catastrophizing our mistakes. Catastrophizing those moments where we're just tired and take a break because you're not done yet, right? Now you completely failed. All hope is lost. You're a failure. You know how the mind chatter will go and just start beating ourselves up. It's really not that big of a deal. You just pick up where you left off and keep on going. But the mind and the mind chatter and those thought patterns magnify a situation. Another, again, is personalizing. We talk about how we internalize things, right? So when you're looking at the chakras, and you have the root chakra, you have your belief system, and you have our emotions and the sacral chakra, which help amplify really those beliefs and the feelings about our beliefs, the emotions that we have about our beliefs, are the triggers based on trauma responses, really, or stress responses, moves into the solar plexus. And when we're not handling that energy and clearing that energy very well, and it's imbalanced, whether it's overactive or underactive, it can reach a solar plexus, and then we internalize it. And it becomes more than a belief or a thought or a feeling. It becomes us. We identify with it, right? So notice even in our journal prompts and putting it in there as if we identify as an overachiever, when really, and hopefully you'll do this as you journal, you'll see how you can break down each of these steps. You can see what your beliefs are about being an overachiever, or what it means to overachieve, if you will. Some emotions and feelings that come along with that. Checking in here, these patterns that we have, these different thought patterns, how we see our personality and our self-image, because that self-image is how we've internalized things, right? Now we've kind of identified with it. We're owning it as it's who we are. Excuse me, which is very limiting, because once I claim to be, this is who I am, then it's like saying there's nothing else. I can't be anything other than, because this is who I am. I just slapped some serious limits on myself, right? I kind of caged myself around a certain identity that I'm associating with, that I've internalized and personalized. Let's break that up. Remember, breaking patterns of codependency. We don't have to get hung up on the codependency word, but we are breaking those patterns, old programs, whatever you want to name them, they fall in, whether you realize it or not, oftentimes with the codependency. But again, either way, we want to break them. We're not here to just be a human on a hamster wheel repeating patterns, right? We're evolving, we're healing, we're growing, we're expanding, we're ascending. We're breaking those patterns. We're getting off the hamster wheel. Do you feel that? I do. Let me just leave it at that. I think that's really good. Let's sit with that and sit in that energy of expansion, right? So again, 5-day, the BU challenge, breaking these patterns of codependency. When we delve into this more and we really get into each of these steps and break them down and make those connections to break these patterns, we launch January 22nd. I had to think about that, 2024. So less than 2 weeks away. If you would like to grab it at half off before we launch, check the description. The link is there. The coupon code is there, which is the word pre-launch, by the way. If you go to the energyhealingschool.com, of course, I have some gifts for you as well. So the Empathic Healers Masterclass, setting boundaries, protecting your energy. There's no cost to that. The 7-day chakra healing challenge. So again, working with the energy in your chakras that will help support you through this process as well. And again, the BU challenge, check it out. Come join me. It'll definitely be worth your time. Before we wrap up, before I forget, Solar Plexus Chakra Energy. So some things you might experience when the energy is wonky in the solar plexus chakra. You might have ulcers, like really. It can be that intense, right? That it wears down the lining in your stomach or in your intestines. Diabetes, food allergies, other digestive disorders, words. Chronic fatigue, again, the low self-esteem, having kind of a negative self-image, that fear of rejection, and other different negative thinking patterns, again, where we're just automatically thinking negative, automatically beating ourselves up, automatically shaming and blaming ourselves, automatically feeling responsible for other people's stuff. Yeah. Setting those high expectations and trying to leaps and bounds to meet them. And then even when we do, it's not good enough for us. Our inner critic kicks in, right? Wonky energy in the solar plexus chakra. So let's clear that out. Break those patterns, right? That's a lot. So let me know how this is doing for you, this journaling process. Let me know what came up for you with this journal prompt. If you have any questions, you can ask those as well. You can drop them in the comments. Don't forget, if you'd like to join me live for the journaling process, the link is also in the description. You can schedule on the next one. I think I have it set that it for 24 hours notice so that I know if someone's coming on or not. So if you can't get it right away, just sign up for the next one. Join me then. And I will see you back here tomorrow for heart chakra healing when we talk about spelling out the word in my head, forgiveness and transformation. So thank you again for sharing your time and space. So much love to you. Please take good care of you. I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.